This is Travis Wayne Goodsell, part 4 of Jessie's video, and I'm disgusted. I was the breaking news on the Mormon Vatican conspiracy, and yet this Sarah Westall is able to get 79,000 views in 1 week. What the hell? Why do people go to this rather than to me? Unbelievable. Oh, Travis, just go to this site and you can get millions of YouTube views instantly. Alright, let's upload 3 here. And this is the one with Joseph Smith's arrest record, or court fine, I guess. Let's see if I have to okay. And sort of cut off top and bottom, but it's still got the fee that he had to pay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. To summarize, again, to remind you guys, don't isolate historical events from other historical events. Crime investigators don't do that. They look at everything that the events that happened before, during, and after in order to tie a person as the criminal. Because the criminal is never going to come forward and confess in the last 5 minutes of the show in real life. Okay, so I've got it's me, Jessie, good. It's in my search engine. Alrighty. Oh, good. I left off where I wanted to be left off. Alright. So, yeah, don't isolate events. As much as it's tempting to say, oh, it proves or disproves the Mormon Church. Yay! Don't fall for it. Wait for all the evidence. Do the research. For example, Jessie is aware of Joseph Smith's arrest in March, but she was wondering, well, why didn't he get punished? Well, it's probably because it's his first time. Well, that's doing generalization of historical events, where she's applying today's legal system with the legal system of 1830, 1926 in that case. And you can't do that. No, no, no. No, no, no. So, yeah, they were hauling off pigs to court. Trying pigs in a court of law back then in those days. That's how psycho it was. And so, yeah, and go to primary sources. If all she had to do was go to the thumbnail, which I put in the video also, just go to that picture. It's online. And I just did a Google search, Joseph Smith arrest, glazing or sear looking, glass looking, whatever. And there it is. And so that's a primary source. You know, it's digitized, and so people can be fooled and think, oh, it's fake news, fake. No, that's the legitimate document that was put online. Just like when President Eyring, his paycheck stub leaked. it went global. Everybody now knows the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is not a lay ministry at the upper levels. The local level, yes. Do as we say, not as we do, is the church's policy. All right, so, and then generalizing, don't generalize, and don't change definitions. Just because it's our definition in this day and age, don't fall for it back then. You know, if a song from back in the early days of the 1800s or early 1900s uses the word gay, don't assume that they're talking about a homosexual. They're not. They're talking about happiness. Okay, so let us go back to where we were before.
And it was with the seer stone that he claimed to both find the golden plates and later...
2 seer stones. 2. And why is this important that it's 2 and not 1 that the church is admitting to finally? Admitting that they lied about the seer stone in the singular. They won't go with 2. Why? Because Joseph Smith claimed to have received the Urim and Thummim with the plates. If it's revealed that Joseph Smith had 2, people will go, isn't that the Urim and Thummim? Exactly.
They produced the Book of Mormon. This was known by early converts, but has since been replaced with later accounts of the angelic visitor Moroni.
Nephi.
And that whole story came into be, where the angel told him where they were and what to do with them and all of that. This transition was aided by...
See, again, she's referring to secondary source material who altered the documents. Go to the primary source documents, Nephi.
Downplaying the fact that Moroni was a dead Indian warrior, and by referring to him as an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Former BYU professor and historian D. Michael Quinn writes, during this...
He was a part of the September 6th. He was excommunicated, remember? You can type in Google September 6th. You have to spell out 6 rather than 6, because then you'll get Wikipedia listing of every event that has occurred in history on September 6th. You gotta spell out 6. And then you'll see the Mormon option.
Period from 1827 to 1830, Joseph Smith abandoned the company of his former money-digging associates, but continued to use for religious purposes the brown seer stone that he had previously employed in the treasure quest. His most intensive and productive use of this seer stone was in the translation of the Book of Mormon, but he also dictated several revelations to his associates through the stone.
Sweetie. Again, she's isolating historical events, using secondary source material to do it. D. Michael Quinn messed up. He's not as great a historian as people have made him to be because of leaving the church. You know, he finds records, great, but he's not as good as everybody makes him out to be. And why can I say that? Because he worked for the church. Anybody working for the church is not qualified. You have to understand that. Nobody in the world acknowledges the credit hours from any of the BYU schools. I should know. I went to Rick's. Then I went to the University of Lethbridge in Canada. The University of Lethbridge in Canada only took the core humanities classes at Rick's, which was practically nothing. I had to start all over with my education. So my associates was a waste. That's how poor of an education the church schools are. And so anybody who works for BYU as a member of the church, who's got their education from BYU, they're losers. Period. You can't trust anything they come up with. And I can go over it if you don't believe me. I can go over a document here, a document there, here a document, there a document, everywhere a document. So, yes, understand. D. Michael Quinn is the greatest critic against the church because of his publications. He's got some biggies. But understand, these basic research concepts, do not betray them. You know, she replied to a comment I'd made on her one of her videos that she was wanting resource material for more about the Book of Mormon, and it's clear she didn't follow my advice.
Early Mormonism and the Magic World View, D. Michael Quinn. Interesting, isn't it? So basically, instead of divine revelation through God and looking at the plates and actually translating them, all through Mormon documents and history, Joseph had his face in a hat with his brown stone in there, and that's how he supposedly translated the Book of Mormon. He didn't use any other method at all.
Oh, sweetie. Okay. Martin Harris is the source for D. Michael Quinn. Understand. And when you tie everything together, you see the big picture. Remember, Joseph starts in 1827 to translate plates of brass. What was going on? I just told you, September 1826, when Joseph Smith was finally having one of his meetings, supposedly, with the angel Nephi, not Moroni. That was William Morgan. That was the time frame, exactly, when Joseph Smith was supposed to meet on the exact same time period each year, which just happens to correspond with the Hebrew holiday of, is it Tabernacles, I believe? I'd have to double check on that, because I'm pretty sure it is, because the blood moons that we had in 2014, 2015 was Passover and Tabernacles each year. Boom, 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 boom. And yeah. And so, yeah. I really need to do a church history rather than just correcting critics. And so, again, Martin Harris. Who's Martin Harris? She didn't do a background research on Martin Harris, did she? D. Michael Quinn does not mention Martin Harris. She doesn't know about Martin Harris. Martin Harris was the first person to work as scribe for Joseph Smith to write out the plates. Why Martin Harris? Why did they choose him? He's got money. Remember, they're poor. They're struggling to find ways to make money. They're doing all sorts of things that they've got to do a cover story for, making them look like they're witchcraft or Satanists or stuff like that in order to make money. Taking advantage of the historical paranoia of the day. And so, yes, he admits to searching for treasure and looking in his hat. all about making money. And now William Morgan comes into the picture, and he's a Freemason of the Grand Lodge, and he finds out about two things. One, about the Mandan tribe from the Lewis and Clark expedition, where Chief Great White was the leader. Great White of an Indian tribe? And then two, about an infiltration plot by the Illuminati into the Scottish Rites Freemasons. There's the reason why Scottish Rites and Grand Lodge need to be separated from each other. And so William Morgan is going around this new pop-up developments of Freemasonry, both Scottish Rites and Grand Lodge, because he only understood that the infiltration was beginning, or that it was going to be attempted. He didn't understand that it had already happened and it was widespread through the Scottish Rites. And as a result, he was falsely arrested. They made up a bogus charge to get him locked away, and that kept him from working on the books. 2 books. White Indians and The Plot to Destroy America. And Martin Harris comes into the picture because of the anti-Mason movement of 1827. Because in 1826, William Morgan goes missing. And the Grand Lodge helped him escape. But they took the fall in the courts. They said, hey, no body, no evidence, no proof, no murder, nothing. And so they got a light sentence, whereas the chief who was doing the investigation and figured out that, oh yeah, William Morgan got smuggled out of the country, these dead bodies that were popping up and everybody was assuming it was him were not him. And so because the police, the sheriff, support your local sheriff, the sheriff was not supported, and he was the one that was busted big time for trying to bring out that William Morgan was still alive and that he had fled the country. And so he got punished rather than the Masons who were accused of causing his murder. And so, yay, justice for all. And yeah, and so the press was just eating it alive because it aggravated the populace. They were furious. William Morgan was going to expose Freemasonry, and everybody was like, oh, Freemasonry, oh, somebody to demonize, oh, wow, cool. And yeah, everybody rioted, and over 600 Freemasonic temples were burned to ash. That's the anti-Masonic movement. And they formed a political party, well, not a party, just a movement, and tried to have Andrew Jackson removed from office. Andrew Jackson was the one in charge of the War of 1812, where William Morgan was involved, and he too knew about the Illuminati threat. And yeah, you got to have the whole context in here. This is awesome American history. And it's just gone from the records. We're not, we sent a record thing to the moon, but I bet that's not in there. And so, yeah. And so Martin Harris then, he, in his local township, was appointed the head of the anti-Masonic movement in his township. And so then later that year, after September, when Joseph Smith gets the plates, which talk about a white Indian tribe and a plot to destroy the future America with examples of the plot to destroy the white Indian tribe? Not a coincidence. And so, yeah, if you're just wanting to hate the church, and yeah, you can pick and choose what you want to hear, but you can't do that if you're going to present it as truth. So don't be fooled by a pretty face. Fact checker. Follow those patterns for research. All right.
In fact, you can read so many accounts with Oliver Cowdery and Emma and others where Joseph Smith just sat there with his head buried in the hat and he was dictating off whatever the book was.
Again, that's the cover story. Oliver Cowdery, he's a family member. Of course he's going to go along with Martin Harris's story to perpetuate the narrative. Why? Because if they came out and said, William Morgan was writing this book, we had been working on it with him. Oliver Cowdery, that's me. I was the one transferring his documents onto copper plates that we're now calling gold plates. You see what's going on? So yes, when Martin Harris destroyed the first 116 pages of the Book of Mormon, hey, we can't have this. He no longer works on it. And of course they blame the wife of Martin Harris as to why. But yeah, they then alter the storyline and then do it a cover story. Oh, they were taken by the wife, and she gave them to the people who want to destroy Joseph's work, and I, God, am more powerful and smarter than they all. We're going to change the record. So, all right. So yes, Solomon Spaulding plays a part in this too with his book, and Sidney Rigdon, who was the one who obtained that record, and Oliver Cowdery working on it with him, and so yeah, and it's not a coincidence that the Batavian Press, who was paying to have the publication of William Morgan's 2 books, then just decided in 1827 to publish a book under William Morgan's name. Oh, it's completed? Wow, how'd that happen? That's amazing. And all it is just the Freemasonic rituals. No big secret. Everybody knows those. So it was somewhat of a letdown, and yet everybody was still upset with Freemasonry because of William Morgan and his disappearance and suspected murder. So yeah, please, dear, and all you critics out there, please understand, I know it's tempting to hear somebody, an insider at BYU, who's now making all these publications. I understand. You want to believe that the church is false. It's okay. The Brigham Church, yes, false. Joseph Smith, there's more to the story that you're missing. You're demonizing somebody who's actually an American hero. But you're not going to know it if you don't look at the big picture. Okay. Still have time.
So clearly it was from his own imagination, right? And this fact is supported by the LDS author Richard.
No, it was premeditated. They had planned the whole thing. It was not just something he created off the top of his mind on his own. He was supplied the papers, and that was what they went off of. He just let Martin Harris see him doing it with the hat. You notice that the account also indicates that there was a veil placed between them so that he couldn't see the plates. Don't be fooled. This is Martin Harris trying to explain what he did not understand and was left out of the equation. And then we can throw in Charles Anton. And it's hilarious what goes on there, because Martin Harris is clueless. And so he takes a transcript to him in New York, which, if it was legitimate, it would have been translated by him. And he would have said, hey, wait a minute, I just put those names in a book I published not too many years ago. So, oh man. So, yes, the real history is awesome. You don't have to demonize the history in order to make it awesome. The real history is awesome. It's like Dan Brown's book with Angels and Demons. The original book was awesome. They didn't need to change it like they did with the movie and then change the book. The original was awesome. You know, the Pope having a kid, and the kid was the one who killed the Pope. That was awesome. And they totally messed that up. All right.
Third S. Dan Wagner, who found this stone, the seer stone,
Secondary sources.
by the First Presidency of the LDS Church, was the vehicle through which the golden plates were discovered and the medium through which their interpretation came. And he wrote that in his book, Sidney Rigdon, A Portrait of Religious Excess.
Secondary source.
Salt Lake City, page 57.
Maybe I'll do the...
Thus we see that historians have...
maybe we'll do the cover picture for this one as the seer stones. I mean, South Park got it right. All right, Joseph Smith, seer stones. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, there's the one. Everybody's promoting the one because the church did, but there's the other two. Okay, where's both of them together? There's the one and there's the other. Come on. Don't want to have to do a combined book. There's the South Park. They have it in their video or their TV show episode. I don't want to have to go searching for it and then doing a screen save. Staying alive, staying alive. Na, 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 na. There's a GIF. You've got them right there. I don't want to do a combined thing. When I put the ancient letters light up and change to English, which I can then read to you when I put the seer stones. We'll do that. We'll put that in there. I'll change that to a movie version. Oh, that's cool. Somebody did a picture with the 8-ball over the seer stone. Awesome. Okay, we gotta change Giphy. Alrighty. Okay, let's go back. The Magic 8 Ball. I had that as a kid. Alrighty. Dum, 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 dum. Come on. They're not showing it. So I'm going to have to do a combined picture now. There's the one. There's the Jupiter talisman. And I have to do it from the book version, I guess. Maybe they just polished it. There. All right. Snap. Alrighty. Indiana Jones. Okay, so we're at 30 minutes. So I guess we'll stop here and then do part 5. Alrighty. We're almost 10 minutes into a 26-minute video. See, there's so much that's being left out. And yet she thought there was too much for her to handle, so she wrote it down so that she would read it. Yeah.